Hello everyone and welcome back to It's Personal. I am Mona and today we are diving into a project with some gouache paint on craft paper. Now I stuck down an A5 size craft paper onto a board with some masking tape, and then I went in to draw out my little idea you will see on the left hand side onto the craft paper with a very soft pastel pencil. And the pastel pencil I used was from the Gouache range. This was a really inexpensive soft pastel pencil. It was just like this one was 23 Rand 90 when I bought it, so it was really inexpensive, and I kind of like using it on craft paper just because I can easily erase it, but there is still, because it's white, it's visible on the brown paper, and then I don't have to struggle with erasing grey pencil that sometimes also leaves indents on my paper, and I don't necessarily like that. So I just went in with the white pencil. I made it nice and dark initially, and then you're going to see me go in with I just had a comparison there between because I was going to do a live paint along session for this video, so I did do the audio, but I decided against it because it turned out to be a 2-hour project in real time, and yeah, I wanted to do a sped up version rather than give you guys a voiceover. I had a little bit of a comparison there between the Derwent soft pastel pencil I bought many years ago and the less expensive one in the Gouache, and I think for this purpose, I think the Gouache soft pencil works fine. I would rather save up the Derwent pastel pencil for another project, or when I have proper soft pastel pencils to work with, which I don't have yet. Maybe one day. We are learning mediums little by little and slowly at a time. So I started off the background for this project with a very light purple pinkish wash. I diluted it quite a bit, and then I decided I needed to make it darker and I needed more paint because I didn't mix enough gouache paint for the background. And yeah, I just kept on filling it in around those little circles. This was the part that was probably very tedious, was the background, because I had a lot of layering to do per se, because I didn't want to go in with thick washes of paint. So I went in with thinner layers and then just kept on building on it. An interesting thing you guys will notice in the video is the color that goes down on paper, it dries differently. Now with gouache, for example, on craft paper, that is a thing it tends to do. I've noticed that in previous projects I also did. There's always a little bit of you put it down initially and then that color looks extremely dark, and then by the time it dries, it's more to the color you had in your palette. But it's also sometimes, because I use a lot of water, it's more transparent as well. But that's one of the qualities of gouache. It's it can be opaque like acrylic paints, but if you add enough water to it, it becomes as transparent as watercolors. So there's a catch-22 with it. It just depends on the way you enjoy using. A lot of people don't. People sometimes just use it straight out of the tube like it is. Other people thin it out with water. I kind of like an in-between, and depending on the day and what I'm trying to achieve. Like today, I was on this project specifically, I was trying to achieve a good balance and a good blend, because I started again with a lighter pink shade around the light bulb. And you're going to see as I progress to the outside of the image, it's going to get a little bit more purple, a little bit darker, not too much, but just enough so there's a little bit of a gradient going on. So you can say, okay, fine, you can see the concept of there's light around the light bulb, and then as you move away from the light, it becomes darker. So like I said, and when I started the video, this was kind of inspired by the idea of me not having inspiration after the Color Along series, because that was a lot of episodes of coloring on that specifically, and there was a couple of other projects in between, but that was my main focus for a good couple of months to get that content out. And yeah, now I kind of want to get back into painting for a little bit before I tackle a new Color Along series, a new image. I've got a good couple of ideas that I want to try out, but yeah, there's so much going on right now that I'm and it's getting to the end of the year where I'm okay, now there's a balance that needs to happen between being creative and not burning out, because for me personally, October is kind of always been, especially the last couple of years, it's been like a balancing act of not burning out. And I found myself in previous years where if I don't manage my time and I don't rest up and I do too much, that I burn out by the end of October, and then it takes me like 3-4 months to like get back into the groove of things. So this year I'm really trying to like just woosah through it and enjoy the creative moments. And if I need a couple of days, like this previous week, I took off a little bit. I didn't do much art. I think last night for the first time in like a week, I picked up some Arctic's soft oil pastels, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna do a little bit of doodle. I just did half of what I wanted to do, and I was like, okay, fine, now I feel a little bit better, because it wasn't intentional sit down recording. It was just a little bit of a release from my brain, and that kind of refueled me for today. And I was like, okay, fine, tonight I'm going to sit down, I'm going to record this voiceover for you guys for this project. Yeah, because when I did it, I was really excited. This was a challenge for me in itself. The background was not the challenge. The little orbicles, light orbs around the light bulb was not the challenge. For me, the challenge in this project was going to be that light bulb. You're going to see that in a couple of minutes. The background was just a whole lot of fun. Blending those colors, working back and forth, adding, spreading out the light color even more. That was the part I really enjoyed. And yeah, I guess that is the point of art. It's like just like doing things that make you uncomfortable. Like the light bulb for me was the uncomfortable part of this image, because I didn't know how to approach it. Okay, here's the problem I had. How do I reflect light from an object that is giving off light? I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I needed to paint light coming from the light bulb. And I'm like, how am I going to do this without making all of it yellow? And just like, so yeah, it was, you're going to see me, that light bulb went through phases of interest. Okay, so for the little orbicles, I did like these little yellow. I actually had a conversation with a friend about little light orbs, because one night we were sitting on Discord and I was trying to explain to her what the idea was I had in my head for this project. And I was telling her, okay, because she takes photos a lot, I was like, okay, you know how sometimes you get a photo, people take photos, and these little circles appear on the image, and then I went back to the phrasing, the thing we do when we play Phasmophobia together. It's like, do you know the orbs we get, the evidence orbs? It's like exactly like that, but you get it in photos sometimes because of light reflection and stuff like that. And some people edit stuff in and blah blah blah. But for me, that is what I had in my head. I wanted to get that feeling of it across. And then and she was confused for a while, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go Google it for you, and I'm gonna send you a picture. And then when I found the image of the ideas I was looking for, and I sent it to her, she was like, now I get it. I was like, yeah, there's my brainwave right there. But I hope I actually got it across in this image pretty well. Those little light orbs are just like a very light yellow, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of a darker tone of the yellow, just to put in a little bit of highlights, darken it up here and there. You will see the little orbs around the light bulb. Some of them are like half like light, and some of them are darker at the moment. But it's because I wanted to reflect them like behind the light bulb or just in front of it, depending on the positioning of the little light orb, if you want to call it that. And I think at the end I got pretty close to what I had in my head and what I envisioned. It's not realistic at all, but art is not supposed to be all realism. It sometimes is just interpretation, and what's the word they use? Impressionistic. I think that's the big word. I'm no art fundi guru, whatever you want to call it. I just enjoy it. I hear a lot of things and sometimes I'm like, okay, I can make a connection in my head with this. But yeah, there I'm putting in a little bit of highlights, just some yellow, some darker yellows, just to get that idea of light reflection bouncing off the little orbicles as well. And yeah, I think that looks kind of cute. it was a good amount of fun. You'll see I have a little swatch on the side because I wanted to test out the colors and how they would work together on a little piece of scrap craft paper. Because sometimes you have this idea of a color in your head and then you put it down on proper paper and then you're like, nah, not really my vibe. I have to say that one thing I do enjoy about craft paper, using craft paper for gouache, is it's a good paper medium if you're not planning to do a lot of layers, for example. It doesn't absorb too much of the water, but the project stays. It stays where the paper doesn't warp a lot either, which is actually really, really nice. Some papers tend to, once the water gets absorbed into it, it goes wobbly, and then it loses its flatness, if I can call it that. But craft paper tends to not do that a lot. I think it's maybe because it's intended for crafting a lot of the time. But this specific pad doesn't say that. It says recycled brown craft paper, acid-free, versatile paper with a fine tooth for sketching, drawing, card making, mixed media, block printing and craft. Ideal for use with charcoal, graphite, pastel, pen, color pencil and ink. So yeah, I think this is fine. For gouache, I wouldn't use watercolor on it per se. I haven't really tried acrylic on it, to be honest. I wouldn't use watercolor on it. I think you're never gonna see anything on it. You need a medium with a little bit of opacity to it. So I might try some acrylic on it just to see how it does. But I think I like the gouache on it because I can also reactivate it. You will see on the light bulb, that was the big thing. I did a lot of layering and a lot of blending, a lot of reactivating of the paint. So yeah, I think this paper does really well with that. It's user-friendly, let me put it like that. And because it's user-friendly, we love it. We love it. Yeah, a lot of the times I end up using even things like watercolors, I end up using on mixed media surfaces because watercolor paper tends to intimidate me just a little bit. I don't know why. It's probably reasons. I don't have good luck with using watercolor paper and let's say, for example, fine liner pens, because I always forget there's a period where it needs to dry properly and then I end up smudging stuff and yeah, so we end up using multimedia paper a lot of the times. But yeah, this craft paper is a fun one. I've got 2 craft paper bigger A5 sketchbooks. A while back, I was probably like a year back. I walked into the craft store one day and I was like, I am on a gouache streak. I am gonna fill up the other one quickly. And yeah, I have not done that yet. But I am tapping myself on the shoulder and telling myself, no, it's fine. You will use it. It won't go to waste. The craft paper book will be used because I really enjoy it. Gouache is probably, if I have to pick a medium I really enjoy using, overall, it's going to be gouache as a painting medium. Let me put it like that, because it has flexibility and I enjoy the flexibility of it. So at the moment, you guys will see I'm doing the little wiring on the inside of the light bulb. This reminds me of, I don't know who remembers the old school light bulbs, because we got all these LED stuff now and it's fancy, but I remember as a kid we had light bulbs where you could actually see the little wiring on the inside, and it kind of reminded me of that because it looks a little bit different than what is probably the realistic version of it. But I was like, you know what, that is the version I'm choosing for this art piece and this project. So I went with these little swirlies all the way, and yeah, and then I went in with some more yellow, and this is where the layering gets. And I was like, okay, where do I stop? Where do I begin? And I wanted to, because I couldn't leave it where it was, because this is a light bulb. When you put a light on, it shines. It is bright in your eyes. If you look at it too long, it feels like the sun is in your eyes. And I kind of wanted to do that. This wasn't a dimmer light. You know those lights you put on and you turn the little switch and then it gets brighter and brighter and brighter? This was not supposed to be one of those. This was supposed to be a light bulb that when you switch it on and you stare at it for 5 minutes and you look away, you feel blinded by it. And so I had to build up some layers to get that across. And that meant losing some of the other elements a little bit. But if you look closely enough, you will still see the little shadows behind the light bulb from an orb in the background. And I tried my best to keep that visible, if I can put it like that. And at this point of the project, I don't know how far. Okay, this was a 2 hour, like I said earlier, this was a 2 hour project in general. Now, at what point this was real time, I don't know, because I was like, okay, I need to break my brain was breaking on the light bulb. I needed to let that dry for a second before I could go on. So I ended up doing the little electrical attachment thingy at the top of the light bulb, you know, where the wires and stuff goes in. And I did all that shadowing, a nice couple of grays, darker, lighter, and then I went back to the light bulb. And this is where a little bit of loose hand work came in, and I was like, okay, just a little bit of paint, Mona, a little bit at a time. And then I probably lost some of the elements at the background again. But this is where the yellow part of it comes in, where I wanted it to shine bright, bright yellow. So because it's the main focus of the project, it can't be fading out into the background and all the orbs are the main point. It needed to be the light bulb. And yeah, it took a lot of fidgeting back and forth and back and forth. And I think that's another thing with art is if you are not happy with it, keep on going. The only thing that's going to stop you is when you decide you are done. And I wasn't going to be done with this until I was done with it. And yeah, I'm glad I kept going because I learned a good couple of things with this project, that if I persist and I just keep layering, and sometimes you need to cover up what you previously did. But I think that for me was the fun part of it. Just the point of keeping going, keeping practicing, and just enjoying the process of it. I think how many things we still have to do here. I think I'm just going to put in some highlights. I'm just touching up some of the paint work where I can see I might have missed a couple of spots. And then I went in with some very intentional little speckles in the background. Initially, it was very intentional speckles. And then my best self came out, and I pulled, I'll call it, I pulled the Lindsay on myself. I say that with a lot of love and respect for Lindsay the Frugal Craft on YouTube. She's an amazing artist. When I started watching YouTube, a lot of art YouTube many years ago, I watched her go through a season of where she splattered paint on all of her projects. She would complete a piece and then she would go in with colors she'd used on the painting, and then she would splatter it, splatter dots and stuff on it. And this was me pulling a Lindsay on myself today, because I made those intentional dots, and in a second you will see me go in with a watered down gouache white, and then I'm going to tap it all very precisely in certain areas. I say precisely, but there's nothing precise about it. I'm just going to tap bang, 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 bang all over. And yeah, it just kind of brought that whimsical feeling out. There I'm mixing the water and paint. And then at first I was going to just use my, I think I used my finger, and then I realized, nope, this is not going to, oh no, I did go in with the brush. I've learned now from past mistakes. So I'm tapping on the brush, because then you get that, it's hard enough so you can get a straighter, how should I put this? I just kept watering it down to make sure that it's watered down enough. Then you can get a more controlled splatter instead of flicking the end of the brush, because then it goes everywhere. But when you do it like this, you've got a little bit more control of how hard you tap it. And yeah, then I just ended up using some of that same white paint, because the brush was now soaked in it, to some more intentional dots, and also just re-highlighting certain areas, making sure the white where I wanted was really, really white. And yeah, that was around about it. And then we get into that really satisfying part of taking off the tape, which I'm always nervous about, because I'm always worried the masking tape is going to tear the paper, because it does when you're using something like watercolor paper. But usually mixed media, craft paper, you should be fine. But yeah, guys, that is the entire project. That is our light bulb, flickering inspiration, like the title told us. So yeah, if you guys have any inspiration in your hearts and in your creative brains to get that on paper, do it this week, or over the weekend or in the weeks to come. Don't let the end of the year burnout vibes get hold of you. Just keep shining, just keep enjoying your art, keep filling your cups, and do all the things that you love so much. And thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, you can check out the YouTube stuffs on the screen, and there's some social media links which I need to update probably pretty soon. But I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a lovely day wherever you are. Goodbye.